Hey, what's up? It's Jason Wojo. Welcome to the Loftiness Show. On the Loftiness Show, we help people make more, work less, and create lives and businesses they love. I am joined by my Polish co-host, Polish Peter. What's up, bro?
Hey, man. It's good to be here. Long time no talk.
Dude. I know. I love this. I love doing this podcast. So much fun. I hope that our listeners feel the same way. Man, today we're going to talk about something in Life and Air we do quite frequently. We do this at our 3-day Get a Life Getaway, and we actually do it at our Business Builder Workshop too. And what we're going to talk about here is, and I'll just walk you through this process. We have you create a vision, and you have all this stuff that, whether it's business vision or personal vision, and you have all these things on there. And that's great. Like, this is what I want. This is a vision item that I want to address. But then at some point that's still, it's kind of a 10,000, 5,000 foot view. You got to bring it down the ground level, and you got to get it down to the tangible action steps and waypoints to get you there. Now, what I'm referring to is essentially like what makes this real. Like, cause you can have this idea, like, hey, you can say, hey, I want to whatever, but how do you do that? And so Life and Air has really embraced this concept of baby steps that move you in that direction so that you can build momentum, so you can get results, and then therefore know you're on the right path to accomplishing these things. And so we use action items and waypoints. Now, waypoints are nothing more. If you've ever been in project management or been working on anything like that in the corporate world, it's like a milestone. A waypoint is nothing more than a mile marker along your journey to let you know you're going the right path. And the action items are the specific steps that you take to get there. Now, dude, it sounds super basic. It sounds very self-evident. You're like, duh, no kidding, guys. Like, but nobody does this.
Right, because what we tend to do, once we create a goal, we tend to focus solely on that goal.
Yeah.
And when you have this goal that's like way out there and sort of stretching you, get you out of your comfort zone, you start to doubt, you start to wonder if this is going to happen and why is it taking so long, and all that kind of stuff, excuses start to come in. And guess what? Sooner or later, you either slow down, you lose the momentum, or you completely stop doing any of the work. Because it's so far out there. It's like climbing the mountain. You keep looking at the top and like, when am I ever going to get there?
Right.
So these waypoints are actually helping you to get you to that. But here's the important thing. I think you have to go and start working from the end in mind. The main goal is, and the waypoints that you're creating, working backwards. So then when you're focusing on that first waypoint or the action steps, you have that confidence, somewhat of a confidence that once you hit that waypoint, it's actually getting you closer to the goal. So you don't have to worry about the goal. Don't think about the goal. You just have to worry about that one waypoint. So
I think so a couple of things I want to really highlight. You said one is you begin with the end in mind, because that's the ultimate goal, and you simply reverse engineer the steps. Let's give a few illustrations here to bring this down so people can actually understand this in a very simple way. And what you also said is really important too, is that, if you just focus on the goal, that can be a great motivator, or it could be something that overwhelms you and intimidates you. And so I believe that focusing on those few steps in front of you is really what gets you there quicker. And so I'll give you an example. My wife and I, a few years ago, hiked the Grand Canyon. We went down to the bottom and came back up in the same day. Now, they tell you not to do that, but it's like 16 miles or 16 plus miles. And they tell you not to do it, but so that's the goal, right? That's what we want to accomplish. Now, what would waypoints be? Well, we want to be at this mile marker by this time of the day, because we know, for instance, that it's going to get dark at this hour. And so if we're planning our ascent and descent and ascent, we need to be at this point to be on schedule, right? So that could be some examples of waypoints. Some examples of action steps would be like, okay, well, what do we have to do to make this reality? So for instance, we need to know what trail we're going to be on. So we're going to pick our trail. That could be an action step. We need to know and plan for breaks and for food. So, okay, so what are you going to bring for food or for snacks or for water? What kind of equipment are we going to need? What's the gear that we're going to take with us? Those and selecting that and getting all those things could be action items, right? And so that's an example. If somebody, let's say you want something simple. Let's say that you haven't gone on a date with your spouse for 6 months, and you want to go on a date, say every week. Like, that's your ideal goal, but you haven't gone in 6 months. You're probably not going to start going weekly. So let's say a waypoint for you would be going on a date night once a month. And by the way, if you start going once a month, you're working towards that once a week goal. And now the action steps, what has to happen for us to go on a date? Like, well, we have to get a babysitter, right? We have to probably pull money out of the ATM for the babysitter. We have to pick what we're going to do. Are we going to go to a movie? If we're going to go to a movie, we got to buy tickets in advance. Are we going to make a reservation at a restaurant? That would be an action item. So all you're really doing is reverse engineering that final thing that you want to accomplish and then breaking it down to smaller and smaller pieces. It's very, very obvious, but people miss this all the time. And they get derailed because they hadn't thought of all the things that have to happen to make you move in this direction without question.
Right. So to your example of going down to the Grand Canyon, which by the way, one of the waypoints was for to pull out a phone and play the Rocky song while you guys are camping.
That was only for you, man.
Yeah. But so listen, when you said hitting the first mile marker, to know at that particular time, you need to be at that mile marker in order to achieve the entire goal, right? Yeah. So as you guys are walking, this is a lot more achievable now, right? Because you start looking at that particular thing. By the way, as you're listening to this thing, look for your own goal. Think about how would that apply to your own goal. So you're walking, and let's say at some point down this walk on the trail, there's a huge tree that just fell down, and now it's in the way. Now, what happens if you don't have that mile marker in mind? Some people will get completely discouraged and just turn around and go back because, well, that's tree. How am I ever going to get to the whole freaking day to go down and come back out, right? Some people will start looking at different ways of going around it, whatever. But when you have this mile marker and a big tree comes down, it's a lot easier for you to, I think, adjust or come up with a different plan in that particular moment to get you to that mile marker because it seems a lot more, it's closer for you to achieve it. Does that make sense? Because I think what happens a lot of times, we have these waypoints that we go after and something happens in life. So if the waypoint is somewhat of a realistic waypoint, like what you just mentioned, you can adjust a lot easier in life to get you to that waypoint.
Well, and to that point, if you don't hit a waypoint, you have to adjust. So if there's a tree in the middle of that path and now we're behind schedule, we know we need to pick it up to hit the next waypoint. And right. So that's why these are useful, because they let you know how you're doing. Now, ideally, every action step and every waypoint is something that's measurable. You either did it or didn't. You either hit it or didn't. And so this is really like, it's the tangible stuff, the measurable stuff that gets done. And so let's say that you have a goal of dropping 20 pounds. All right. Well, if that's your goal and that's the only thing you focus on, that could be intimidating to some people. It could feel daunting. And so a great waypoint, maybe 5 pounds, right? Or 10 pounds, whatever it is. There's no right or wrong. I think a waypoint should be selected that is achievable, but would be a little bit of a stretch depending on what you're kind of pursuing. And then your action steps will be like, okay, well, I'm going to find the gym. I'm going to look at their fitness class schedule, or I'm going to design a workout program. I'm going to put together a diet. Now, by the way, I hope that the listener is recognizing right now that each of these specific action items in some cases can be broken down further and further and further. So for instance, you want to design a weight training program. Okay, well, how many times a week do you want to go? How many exercises are you going to do? How many body parts are you going to hit? How long are you going to be there? Like, you can start to get really into the weeds. And so there's a little bit of subjectivity where you have to find that level that makes sense for you, so you don't get overwhelmed by all the action steps either.
Right. So that's what I was just going to mention, because what's important in this whole entire exercise is knowing yourself. What I mean by this is this. If you are a type of person who loves doing a lot of lists, and you have a list on top of a list, and some of you guys are like that, right? I have a list on top of a list, and I will list everything. If I have to go to the refrigerator to get dinner, I will literally outline how do I get there and what do I pull out, and I have to close the refrigerator door, I need to open the refrigerator door, and all that kind of stuff. I'm being a little, facetious about it, but a lot of us are doing that. Now, if you are the type of person who does that and gets very easily overwhelmed, having that kind of granularity, that kind of a deep depth to your list is probably not good. because you're going to get overwhelmed and you're not going to take action. So if you're that kind of a person, your list, your action steps probably should be simple, should be very simple to get you. So if you're going to the gym, you just look up a gym and you get your workouts clothes on and you go to the gym and you talk with somebody there about this. You don't go and start, what kind of shoes I need, what kind of an outfit I need, and all that kind of stuff, because that can get you down. Because now you're like, oh, I don't have I don't have the right shoes, so I need to go to the store to buy shoes. Oh, now I don't know what kind of shoes, so I got to research what kind of shoes I need. Oh, now I have 5 different types of shoes that I could do. So now I got to talk to other people to see what kind of shoes they like. And by the time you're done with the shoes, this is 2 weeks into this whole project.
Yeah.
So you got to know yourself and then use that to sort of work against you to get you to where you need to go. Hope that makes sense.
Yep. And yes, you just got to break it down to the point that makes sense for you, that gets you motivated and gives you a sense of momentum. So, I'm the kind of person who I'll sometimes make to-do lists and write down things I've already done just to cross them off, because I like the feeling of accomplishing something. So I'd encourage you to think about that for your action list. If that's something that you also resonate with, break it down a little more so you can cross them off and you feel good about it. If not, then don't. But the premise and the principle is very, very simple. It's just reverse engineer from where you want to be backwards to where you are. And those steps is the pathway. It's the blueprint to get you there. This is a quick episode, man, but you have something else to add?
Yeah. And you got to I keep saying about hack yourself. You got to hack how you operate this. So you're someone who is not very good at taking action, put it in the calendar, make it real right then and there, put stuff in the calendar so that notifies you. You don't have to think about it, or get a buddy that's going to show up at the gym at that particular time. So now you're feeling accountable to that particular person. You got to hack to get you out of your comfort zone, get you out of your habits, get you out of what's not working for you to be able to hit those waypoints.
Yep. Awesome. Hope this makes sense for you. Listen, if you have something that you are struggling to accomplish, you don't know how to get there, come on over to the Life Inner app. We're in there. We will comment on your post and try to help you out and figure out what those action steps and waypoints are. If you're not in the Life Inner app already, head on over to lifeinner.com. You can download it for your Android or iPhone device, or use a desktop version like I usually do. And so we'd love to help you. We'd love to have you as part of the community as well. So hope you got something out of this. Pick what it is you want to accomplish, reverse engineer it, and we have no doubt that you get there. We will see you next time.